Passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My jeans are blue.
Sydney Sweeney, Casper Keen.
I'm not here to talk.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Speechless. Yes, it has been a while, but I'm your host, Kev Phares. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, and share it with your friends. And don't worry, I'll talk about why it's been a while, but we got a lot to talk about today. Trump is bringing fitness back. Hey, the culture is bringing fitness back, and there's so much that goes along with that. And I don't know if you guys are as happy about it as I am, but I couldn't be more ecstatic. We have a phenomenal show planned for you guys here today. So let's get right onto it. And once again, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends. And don't forget to comment. I always like to interact with you guys, seeing what's going on with your lives. And so definitely let me know what you're thinking in the comments, what you might want me to talk about here. But we're going to start off with the Trump executive order that is going to reestablish the presidential fitness test here out of Fox News. Let's make this full screen. President Donald Trump is expected to sign the executive order later today. In fact, President Donald Trump will sign the executive order on Thursday, reestablishing the presidential fitness test. I don't know why my screen's messing up on me. Here we go. A White House official confirmed to Fox News. President Trump wants to ensure America's future generations are strong, healthy, and successful, said Caroline Leavitt. In fact, I think I actually even have that clip around here somewhere of Caroline Leavitt. Here it is. Let's go here. Of Caroline Leavitt speaking regarding the presidential fitness test right here. Take a look and listen.
Today with some very famous, the president will be signing an executive order at 4:00 today with some very famous professional athletes whom I'm sure you all know. And that executive order will be focused on strengthening athletics in our country and making America healthy again. And we are going to re-implement the presidential fitness test in America's schools, which is, I think, something all Americans can get behind. So the president will be signing
everybody can get behind being fit. In fact, the history of the presidential fitness test is quite interesting. Back in the day, President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Sorry, my screen is glitching here a little bit. President Dwight D. Eisenhower created the President's Council on Youth Fitness in 1956, and President Lyndon B. Johnson established the Presidential Fitness Award in 1966. But then President Barack Obama, we all know his wife was so dedicated to making sure all of our children were fit, he retired the presidential fitness test, and the council under his presidency established by the Presidential Youth Fitness Program. Trump has been a major figure in the sports world since his presidential campaign for his second term kicked off. He has seen several college football and NFL games, and as well as UFC events. And while President Trump himself, as you might all know, he's not in the best shape of his life. He's in his 70s, nearly 80s. And so, yeah, it's going to be like that, but at least it's not Elizabeth Warren, who just fell on the House floor today. But to even take the history of the presidential fitness test back and show its importance, I want to share this clip of JFK's physical fitness statement. Now, once again, President Obama, back during his tenure, did away with the presidential fitness exam. In fact, even though his wife, Michelle Obama, was so dedicated, allegedly, to making sure that kids were fit, and she became the Gestapo of the school lunches. Well, ultimately, how much did they really care about fitness? Now let's look at the Democratic Party 70 years ago. And here's what JFK had to say regarding physical fitness.
I welcome this opportunity to speak to the people of America about a subject which I believe to be most important, and that is the subject of physical fitness. And I speak not only as President of the Union, but also as a parent of two children who I hope will grow up with those qualities of vigor and energy which we identify with the best of America. This should be a matter of concern to us all. A country is as strong, really, as its citizens. And I think that mental and physical health, mental and physical vigor go hand in hand. I hope that we will not find a day in the United States when all of us are spectators except for a few who are out on the field. I hope all Americans will be on the field.
Now, I don't want to interrupt it too much, and I want to make sure that you guys get to see the full video and get the full effect. But I want to go back to just one thing that he said briefly before, where he discussed mental and physical health. He talked about the mental health, which I believe is super important. You know, when we talk about physical fitness and physical health, we need to discuss the idea of mental health. Those who are in good physical shape ultimately tend to have better mental health. And every Democrat on earth, especially in Illinois, where I'm from, they want to talk about mental health. Well, if you were to go to your doctor and say, man, I'm feeling really depressed, I'm really anxious, but you're also significantly overweight, one thing they're going to say is maybe hit the gym. Maybe not like that, but they'd say something like that.
That is, they will concern themselves with the education of their children, with the physical development of their children, with the participation in the vigorous life, and then also as their children get older, inculcate into them a desire to maintain that vigor through their normal life. Our citizens are living longer, and we want them to participate fully in that longer life. But they can only do so if they give some of their time and some of their effort to maintaining that vitality. This is a subject which should be of interest to us all. And I hope when we have seen the astonishing results which we have seen from our work in a few schools across the country, where we've been able in the short space of 2 and 3 months to change the physical habits and strength of our children, that this will spread to every school district in the United States, that all of us will participate in the life around us, and in so doing will be better citizens and happier ones. This is a challenge for us all, children, boys and girls, college students, mothers and fathers, and all of us, I think, should welcome it. I hope all of you will join in a great national effort to build a strong and better America through physical effort and through the contributions we can make by the drive and force we bring to our daily lives. Thank you.
What a beautiful statement. And so that is JFK and his physical fitness statement from back during his presidency. And it's so much different than what we get today. What we get today from the Democratic Party is we need fat acceptance and we need extra free airline seats for the overweight. While the president now, under Republican leadership, focuses on the physical fitness of the youth. And that truly is important because here's the thing. Do we want a strong and healthy nation? Well, that starts with a strong and healthy individual. Do you want your life to be full of growth and strength and a prosperous lifestyle? Well, then that starts with you. And this is something I noticed, to get into my own testimony once again, very briefly. When about 2 years ago, I was overweight. I was particularly unhappy with myself. And what did I do? I started walking. This is back when I worked at a radio station. That's what spawned this podcast. Is I went and I just started walking to work every day, about 2 miles there, 2 miles back. And I cut out sugared beverages. And I know for the most part, yeah, I'll have the occasional like Arizona iced tea to pay homage to Arnold Palmer, the great golfer. But overall, I cut out sugared beverages, lost 10 pounds in a month. And since then, this is about 2 years ago, I've now lost over 80 pounds, gained some back in muscle because I started lifting weights, doing push-ups, body weight workouts. And that's so important. And where am I now? Then I was in college. I was on a decent track. Now I'm in law school. and I'm only getting better. And so if you want to get better, it starts with your physical health. Your physical health affects your mental health, affects your social health, affects who you are as a person. And I'm so happy that Donald Trump, and this will be second, third page headline, maybe 5 minutes, or not even 5 minutes, maybe a 30-second clip on your nightly news tonight. But President Trump signing the executive order to reestablish the presidential fitness test should be one of the biggest stories right now, because that is truly how we make America great again, by making the individuals great again. But as I mentioned, the left isn't so focused on keeping people healthy, happy, looking good. In fact, when someone does look good, they call it, quote, Nazi propaganda. And you might know I'm talking a little bit about the Sydney Sweeney ad, and we're going to get to that. But before I do, I want to make sure you guys know that I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you sticking with me and staying as a subscriber. If you went through my hiatus, which I will discuss briefly here soon, but don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, because I'm going to keep going. We still got a woke mob to fight. Even though some people say woke is dead, we still got more to do. And if you want to support the show, don't forget you can send in through tip. You can do Venmo, Cash App, anything like that. I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much. But then we get to this, the Sydney Sweeney ad. And so I'll pull this up here. This is from Pop Crave, because I want to try to get some sources in here that might be impartial on the discussion. But Sydney Sweeney's American Eagle advertisement is receiving criticism. And we're going to look at some of those critics here soon. From the jeans pun that some say echoes eugenics and white supremacy. Oh God. Oh God. Let's take a look and listen once.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very genes.
I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Or that they make your butt look amazing. Why would I need to do that? But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sydney Sweeney has very genes.
You see what I did there, right? Hi, I'm Sydney Sweeney, and I'm from Spokane, Washington. I can work as a local hire as well, though, and I'm available for the American Eagle jeans campaign shoot.
Profile and hands, please. Thanks. We'll be in touch.
Sydney Sweeney has very genes.
Next.
Super simple. Super simple. Sydney Sweeney has great genes. Frankly, a kind of lazy pun, but not totally false. Not totally false. This is a very stunning woman that physically attractive, no doubt, and has garnered significant attention through her work in film as being particularly attractive, objectively. Sydney Sweeney has great genes. She's nowhere in there is she saying support the Third Reich because her genes are the perfect type of genes. Nowhere in there is it saying Sieg Heil and follow me into battle against evil other races. No. All it says, Sydney Sweeney has great genes. And now all of a sudden the left has lost their minds. They didn't lose their minds when Beyonce was stripping naked in a laundromat and talking about her Levi's jeans. No. Or even the fact that Beyonce over the years has gotten particularly whiter in her appearance. No one's talking about that being white supremacy. But Sydney Sweeney saying that she has great genes is, in fact, somehow white supremacy. And there's a ton of critics for this. And so we'll take a look at some of these. Let's go through here. We have this one. This one I thought was just phenomenal. This girl, she goes in front of an American Eagle. She sees the advertisement, as many of you I'm sure can see. I have my mouse there. Yeah, Sydney Sweeney has great genes. And this is her reaction.
Hey, you want to go to American Eagle?
Oh, I can't go in there because I'm black.
Hey,
Oh, I can't go in there because I'm black. You want to be a victim at that point. That's truly what this is you want to see the racism. Look, and I'm going to say this multiple times throughout these reactions, is that if you hear a racist dog whistle that no one hears, well, let's break down what a dog whistle is. A dog whistle, a genuine dog whistle, is one that you blow and it makes a high pitch frequency so that only dogs can hear it. So if you're hearing a racist dog whistle when no one else is, what does that say about you? This girl could more than happily go in there and buy a pair of the great jeans, but alas, she hears that racist dog whistle. What does that mean? What does that mean? Think about it. We'll get to it. Don't worry, we'll get to it. But there are other critics as well of the Sydney Sweeney's jean advertisements, like this one. This one, I just thought she was very funny. And so let's take a look and a listen at this woman, white woman, who clearly is mentally stable from the significant tattoos and piercings. But let's take a look and a listen to what she has to say about the Sydney Sweeney's jeans advertisement.
You guys are complaining about that Sydney Sweeney jeans ad, so I went and saw it.
That's Nazi propaganda. Wow. I thought it was
I love that. Listen to that one more time.
Nazi propaganda.
Nazi propaganda.
Wow. I thought it was going to be like kind of bad.
That's going to be in history book.
You guys are complaining about
One more
that
time. I was
Sydney
gonna hear it.
Sweeney jeans ad, so I went and saw it.
That's Nazi propaganda. Wow. I thought it was going to
Okay, that's wild to me. Wild to me. That's Nazi propaganda. Shut up. Shut up. Because it's not some overweight, non-binary, purple-haired feminazi Nazi with a ton of piercings and is androgynous in look and visually unappealing to pretty much anyone that looks at her, unless you're lying to yourself. Because it's not that, it's Nazi propaganda. Calm down. But she's not the only one. We also have this one right here. This is another critic. I haven't even watched this one yet. So we'll just, with no intro, let's take a look and a listen.
I really wasn't going to weigh in on this, but here we go. It is so difficult to grow up as a person of color, specifically a woman, and view yourself as beautiful in any sense of the word growing up in this country. I remember growing up in a predominantly white community, wishing myself out of this body, out of this culture, take my name, if it meant that I could wake up blonde-haired and blue-eyed, never having to explain who I am or worry about being accepted. That is why this American Eagle ad with Sydney Sweeney is especially off-putting. There's a lot of rhetoric right now online about the political ideologies that this represents, and I don't discount that, but for me, I can't help but think about the 13-year-old brown girl who gets all of her denim at American Eagle, who already struggles to see her beauty and worth in a world that continues to value white, Eurocentric beauty standards, which I naively thought by this point we would have moved the needle on. And this girl is now wishing she too could wake up with blonde hair and blue eyes. It took me so long, too long in my life to look in the mirror and see beauty. And I hate that that continues to be a shared experience for young brown girls in this country.
So here's basically what this woman is saying. What this woman is saying is that white people, and as she puts it, Eurocentric beauty standards cannot be because it makes other people feel bad. So essentially, the love everyone mentality and everyone is beautiful is wrong, according to her. That's essentially what she's saying, because you're not allowed. This ad is only wrong to her because it is a white woman in it. If it was a brown girl, it'd be perfectly fine, because then it would be helping people that are dealing with their own issues, not my issues, not Sydney Sweeney's issues, dealing with their own issues mentally. We need to cater to them in our beliefs of beauty so that they don't necessarily feel bad. And look, I'm not even saying that this girl, this critic right here, isn't in some way beautiful. Sure. She looks like she takes care of herself. But like ultimately, it is no one else's problem to cater to your needs. And if the majority of people look at Sydney Sweeney and say, that's an attractive person and I want to look attractive, so then I am going to purchase American Eagle jeans, which is the point of the advertisement, by the way. Let's be clear here. That's the point of this advertisement. There's a lot to break down in this video. And that's the first thing that needs to be said, is the point of this advertisement was not about uplifting Eurocentric beauty standards. No, it was Sydney Sweeney's hot, has a good body. So we want people to buy our jeans, and we're going to show them what a really good looking girl looks like in our clothes. So then maybe other people will buy them thinking they'll look like her. Super basic marketing tactic. Everything about this marketing is so unbelievably simple. And then this woman starts talking, this critic right here, starts discussing this idea of, well, people are discussing the political meanings behind this. No. Nobody would have been discussing the political meanings behind this ad if people hadn't, like this woman, hadn't come out and started saying, Nazi propaganda, Eurocentric racism. Rah. Like, if you didn't make it political, it wouldn't have been political. A perfect example, once again, is the Beyonce Levi's jeans. No one talked about that. I mean, the only people that talked about it was anybody being like, man, looks good. Nobody came out and was like, that's black nationalism. That's white nationalism. Oh my gosh, everything she's wearing underneath the jeans is all white. Beyonce must be a KKK member. No, nobody was saying that. And why was nobody saying that? Because it's only political if you make it political. It's become this divisive issue because people have come in and said, this is about Eurocentric beauty standards. And also all of this is rich, coming from the side that says you can't choose who you love. You must accept homosexuality. You must accept all forms of polygamy and all the sexual deviances that are promoted by the left through the LGBTQ agenda. Except you can't call Sydney Sweeney beautiful. You can't say Sydney Sweeney's hot, because that doesn't fit the narrative. Somebody who is traditionally attractive can't be attractive, because to them, anybody who doesn't look like that is oppressed automatically by those who look attractive. And once again, this is all about the way that you're born. So, you can't choose the color of your skin, so no racism. You can't choose the family you're born into, so we're going to give you all this money. But you also can't choose the genes that you have and whether or not they make you attractive. So why do they hate Sydney Sweeney so much? It's because she is everything that they have fought so hard against. She's normal. She's traditionally attractive. She's white, blonde. And to them, that's the biggest sin you could possibly commit, is being white, blonde, and normal. But that wasn't the last. We also have this one, I still haven't watched this full one. This one's a little bit longer. This is Dr. Kristen, a psychologist who's now trying to convince you that the American Eagle ad, which we just viewed, was intentionally crafted as eugenics-inspired Nazi propaganda. So I think that this one goes even further into the claim of Nazi propaganda. Let's take a look and a listen as to what this pseudo doctor has to say. And I say that jokingly. Here we go.
When a white, blue-eyed woman says, "Munchin from below," that does not just happen in a vacuum. Let's talk about why this ad doesn't just feel off. It feels familiar, like historically familiar. In 1930s Germany, as we all know, white women with blonde hair and blue eyes were held up as this ideal. Not just beautiful, but genetically superior. The Schmatzi regime ran entire campaigns promoting the hereditary fitness of the Aryan women. It's all ridiculous, obviously. There were posters praising blue eyes, propaganda about strong bloodlines. And I won't even get into how they tried to encourage the right women to have babies through cash and medals. Sound familiar? Today, we have a global rise in white nationalist movements, especially in the US. There's literally a town being built in Arkansas for white-only residents. And online, there's been a resurgence in pseudoscience linking to good genes in relations to health, intelligence, beauty. We can look at the autism and disability space. We can look at the new executive order claiming to end crime and disorder on the streets that has really problematic language about people who might be disruptors. But it's not always really obvious executive orders and RFK grinding his voice into your ears. But that's also how it works. It's like a wink, it's a nudge, it's a dog whistle. So when brands casually, on purpose, joke about good genes, all while the right is literally building white-only towns and
Remember what I said about dog whistles. Remember that, okay? Only the dog is meant to hear the whistle. So if it's a racist dog whistle, guess only racist dogs hear it, dog.
reviving eugenicist ideology. This isn't just being tone deaf, it's complicity. Eugenics has never ever disappeared, it's just been rebranded. It's hiding in how we talk about things like autism, beauty, intelligence, reproduction. It shows up in medicine and is even currently inhibiting really, really crucial cancer research. And yes, it shows up in denim ads. Sydney has great genes is not just a pun, because if the internet is going mad that your campaign could plausibly double as a schmaltzy propaganda ad in the 1930s, maybe you need to rethink that, or maybe that was the point. Especially when you have a bunch of white nationalists on social media applauding the ad for giving them permission to be white. Just because it doesn't look exactly like 1930s propaganda doesn't mean it's not propaganda. It just means the marketing is modernized.
Look, and here's the thing. What she's saying is she comes out and says, well, all these white nationalists are coming out and supporting the ad. The only reason that anybody is really talking about this is because the left came at it first saying it's Nazi propaganda. If you're creating the demon, because let's be honest here. Let's take a moment to consider the other side. Could you see through jumping through a lot of hoops? And if you looked at the lens where everything you looked at was about race and that white people are oppressors and that everybody that is not white is oppressed by the white people, then yes, I totally see how you see this as Nazi propaganda. 100%. I see that. I see why you could come to that conclusion if your worldview is based on let's look at everybody's race first. I could see that. Now, are some white nationalist wackos, people that are like, people call them far right, would not call them far right, like people that are genuinely like ardent racist people supporting this ad? Probably. But would they be as loud about it? Would they be receiving the same attention if you didn't come out and say this is Nazi propaganda? No. Nobody would be listening to them, just as much as nobody really listens to white nationalists any other day of the week. The vast majority of people, they exist in their own bubble, just as much as a lot of these people tend to exist in their own bubble, except for they're quite loud and it becomes difficult to ignore them no matter how hard I try. But don't worry, everybody. It would seem as though the prevailing idea is that the Sydney Sweeney ad is fine. And there's a level of relief, a sigh, where it's like, oh, finally, we can finally say something is attractive with minimal recourse. I don't have to pretend like all these like fat, overweight, not androgynous lesbians are the new beauty standards. I can finally say it. Well, but don't worry too, guys, because other brands have started jumping on this bandwagon. Actually, let's go first because it's the Dunkin' one. But I know that Sydney Sweeney is not stopping there. She's got a new ad that just released like yesterday with Hey Dude, and they're almost doubling down on this with just being like, yeah, she's a hot chick doing hot chick things, wearing our clothes. Here's this one with Hey Dude.
You can take the dude out of the country. You can't take the country out of the dude. Wish you were here. You can take the dude out of the
Once again, a super simple ad, because the entire idea of these ads is for women to say, I want to look like that, and men to say, damn, that's hot. That's literally the entire point of the ad. And it's super simple on purpose. But alas, the left will not let it be that way. But Dunkin' Donuts jumped on the trend, and I think this one's hilarious. Very quickly, they came out with this ad with a guy named Gavin Casalango, who I've never heard of in my entire life. But let the liberal meltdown ensue when they hear this one.
Look, I didn't ask to be the king of summer. It just kind of happened. This tan, genetics. I just got my color analysis back. Guess what? Golden summer, literally. I can't help it. Every time I drink a Dunkin' Golden Hour refresher, it's like the sun just finds me. So if sipping these refreshers makes me the king of summer, guilty as charged. The Golden Hour refresher, only at Dunkin'.
Oh man, look at that. They're even talking about his skin color more in that one. Oh my God, look at it's the Nazi coffee. It's the Nazi coffee. Gonna have a meltdown over the Nazi coffee. Oh my gosh. Here's the other thing too, is like, if you're stupid enough to look at that and be like, oh my God, that's the rise of the Fourth Reich right there, then you're obviously thinking that everybody else around you is just as stupid, because no normal person looks at that. If you sat down Joe Schmo, who's a mechanic in Timbuktu, West Virginia, and showed him that ad, he'd be like, it's a Dunkin' Donuts ad. Who cares? Cool. He wouldn't care. He wouldn't watch it and be like, yeah, man. White people. No, that's not how people work. But when you look at everything through the context of race, that's how your mind starts to work. And it implicitly starts to make you think like, hey, yeah, we shouldn't like white people, because sure, if you look at some things white people have done in the past, not great things. If you look at things that other races, though, have done if you look at the narrative spun by our public school system, yeah, it makes white people look awful. Awful. It makes every other race look oppressed. And that's kind of what we have now, is we have a lot of people who went through public school system, or even just the general education system in America, and are basically told that white people are awful. And so then if you look at everything through the concept of race, you're going to come to conclusions like this woman.
Well, I'm off to 7-Eleven for my coffee since Dunkin' wants to act like American Eagle.
If you're one of those people who ran to Dunkin' after the Starbucks boycott started, what are you going to do now? Are you going to keep going back there? Or are they being added to the list? It is a great time to make your coffee at home. Such a good time.
Girl, are you allergic to cinnamon? Did you eat French toast this morning? I think Sydney Sweeney needs to pop a Benadryl. Somebody check on her. Did she owe somebody money or something? What was that American Eagle ad? Has it had a...
Okay, so these are clearly mentally stable people that definitely have good heads on their shoulder. No! These people, once again, they look through the entire world through the concept of race. And so then when you have that psychiatrist earlier who talks about it being a dog whistle, yeah, it's a dog whistle to you because you see everything through the lens of race and would view anything that puts that just says that white people are pretty too. That's racist to you. That's racist to you. And that's ultimately what it's come down to. And so ultimately, when we look at all of these things, we look at all of these different critics, when we look at Sydney Sweeney, who has great genes, we see that there's just a significant disconnect between the liberal, more liberal. I don't want to say it's only liberal, because there's others out there that aren't necessarily falling within the political spectrum, that aren't, they're more of just like the woke. And that tends to be more on the left side of things, where the left looks at beauty and they say everything that was, because they reject tradition so ardently, anything that is traditional, even traditional standards of beauty, which can include brown, black, somewhere in between people, when they look at it, but when they look at that, though, it can't be that. And that's shown perfectly when This is back in like May. This woman's already been fired, but there was an obese Democrat influencer, Olivia Juliana is her name, who was briefly brought on to try to attract more young women. I'm sorry, young men, not young women, to the Democrat Party, as that seems to be who they're missing. And so take a look and a listen.
Well, I also think it's just so abundantly clear that the people who say these things don't actually spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys. And in that, I realized like even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who supported Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it.
No, okay, few things with that, because I like this clip because I think it's interesting, and I wasn't streaming at the time, so I didn't get a chance to react to it. I like this clip because I think it shows a lot of things. One, it clearly shows they don't understand what a young man would like, because I guarantee you if you had a Sydney Sweeney looking woman out there campaigning for the Democrats, you'd get a lot more frat guys to come up to you on a college campus. Just the truth. Look, that's ultimately what the college guys like. And so when she comes on here and she says things like, oh, well, young men are young frat guys, as she calls all of them. And she hates how everybody lumps them into conservative. Well, you're lumping them all into young frat guys. When she says that they are generally pro-choice and generally pro-gay marriage, I'm willing to bet. I don't have the numbers on this, but I'm willing to bet most of them, if you ask them what they thought about abortion, they'd say, I don't really care. A lot of them, at best, if they don't have an ardent opinion on it. But I think a lot of them would say, I don't really care. On gay marriage, I'm almost positive they'd say, do what you want, just don't make it affect me. And that's usually what it is. It's usually do what you want and don't let it affect me, which is why they get lumped into conservatives, because a lot of them tend to be more libertarian in their viewpoints. And the Democratic Party is anything but that, because the Democratic Party on issues of LGBTQ stuff is not only gay marriage, but we also are going to teach your kids about it. And we're going to put Dylan Mulvaney as the spokesperson for your beer. And we're going to have taxpayer funded like surgeries for minors. And then most frat guys at that point are like, don't touch the kids. Come on, don't touch the kids. And when it comes to abortion, it's not just do whatever you want, don't let it affect me. It's taxpayer-funded abortion up until the point of birth, and in some cases even after birth, if you're former Governor Ralph Northam of Virginia. Like, that's not what frat guys want, and that's what the liberals don't understand. The liberals and the left and the Democrats do not understand what the frat guy that you're losing so much tend to just be like, I want lower spending, I want more of my money back, I want lower taxes. They care about a lot of that finance stuff that the Democrats are not positively looking on at all. And then they have this woman who clearly doesn't understand them, because the Democrats don't understand, because this is not the woman that a young frat guy would be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go talk to that girl. They might have a friendly conversation, but you're not going to win them over if you're simply going on physical attractiveness. And then tertiarily, you'd be saying they don't understand them on the issues whatsoever, given that little clip. But that's ultimately what it is the Democrats and the left reject tradition so much that they hate the fitness test, because they hate people being physically fit. How are you supposed to control a populace that can control themselves? They hate the physically attractive, the traditionally attractive, because they represent the oppressor. Clearly, the traditionally attractive, white, blonde hair, blue eyes, good looking gal. Can't have that. And then they hate the tradition in policy. Anything that relates to it. Progress for the sake of progress, unchecked, is a Democrats' leftists' world. And some people are starting to say that woke is dead. In fact, we see posts like this, and we see articles like this, where I'll pull it up, where Donald Trump seems to have won when it comes to, this is out of the Post Millennial, Brown University makes a deal with Trump to regain federal funding and will pay $50 million in scrap affirmative action. So Brown University has struck a deal with the White House to restore its funding. Let me make sure this works correctly. I don't know why here we go. Let's just make this full screen. Maybe that's my issue. Here we go. And end federal investigations into the school over noncompliance with civil rights and discrimination laws. The university will also pay $50 million for workforce development, among other stipulations. Congrats to Brown University on the settlement made with the United States government. There will be no more anti-Semitism, anti-Christian, anti-anything else. Woke is officially dead at Brown. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's what Trump had to say. In addition to the $50 million, Brown has vowed to protect women's sports facilities by disallowing trans-identified males from women's sex-segregated sports spaces. The Brown University health system will also stop providing medical sex changes to minors, including no longer prescribing puberty blockers. We can take a look and a listen to this video here once it loads in my next tab. Brown will also disband programs that contain unlawful efforts to achieve race-based outcomes, as well as establish merit-based admissions policies for the schools and scrap affirmative action practices. A lot of this is coming from Secretary Linda McMahon. Let's take a look and a listen right here to the video from Newsmax that kind of talks about this a little bit more from Linda McMahon herself.
Yeah, we definitely are. I mean, we've had 3 great triumphs, I think. If you look at Columbia, that was, I think, the biggest deal that we announced. They will pay a $200 million fine and then a $20 million fine that'll go into, a fund to pay for, those were abuses in hiring. And so that was an incredibly big deal at Columbia. And it also dealt with having protests on campuses. You can protest as long as you have peaceful protests, but you can't wear masks. If you have to wear a mask for religious purposes, then you have to have your ID that you've been willing to show. And there were just many parts of that Columbia deal that I hope will become the template for others. We're still negotiating with Harvard, but we also had a great success, with University of Pennsylvania in getting rid of the Title IX violations, and they apologized to the women whose title was taken away. They took the title away from Leah Thomas, the man who was competing in women's swimming. So we've had some really big successes, not only with Columbia, with University of Pennsylvania, and then yesterday signing the Brown University deal, in which they also are paying a fine of $50 million. As you mentioned earlier, Mark, they will be investing that money on workforce development programs in the state. They also have agreed on the Title IX. And defining women as women and men as men. So these are really big accomplishments for 3 big universities where, as I say, I'm hoping Harvard is going to stay at the table for negotiations.
Yeah.
And then we have several other investigations going on as well. But these are big wins.
And we see them as big wins. And I'm thankful for Linda McMahon and the Trump administration for their work on things like that. And obviously college campuses hold a near and dear place to my heart, as that's where I kind of got my start in all my activism. I was on the college campus of Illinois State University, but right across the cornfield, we had just yesterday caught on camera, the University of Iowa was recorded in an undercover video bragging about how she and others at the school have been taking steps to operate around the federal DEI bans. Take a look and a listen to this clip from Fox News.
I want to say maybe February, March. Our communications person came in and was like, hey, we have to redo our websites per the regents to take off diversity, equity, inclusion, anything like that, any buzzwords. So they swept our websites. So it's not there anymore. So it's not there, but we are essentially finding ways to operate around it. So that was our solution. We were like, oh, okay, we can't use that word. Okay, civic engagement. I think that's a lot of what we're doing. It's like, oh, okay, we're not allowed to use this word. Okay, we're just going to do this. So yeah, that's why you're not going to see DEI listed on any University of Iowa website, but there have been transitions and things that they've done, so they're not getting rid of certain things. On behalf of my office, we're still gonna talk about DEI. We're still gonna deal with DEI things. Like my assistant dean is a Black woman, and I could not imagine her being like, okay, guys, yeah, we're just not gonna talk about DEI anymore. I will say personally, like I am proud of the fight, even if you aren't seeing it on some big like email chain or something like that. Like for me, the fact that like it didn't happen until this last spring, to me, it has said a lot.
So while it's great to see that the Trump administration seems to be making strides in terms of the policy happening at our educational institutions, we must remember promises made are not always promises kept. And even promises made can have crossed fingers while the handshake is done. And it would seem state institutions, state-funded institutions like University of Iowa are still adhering and still administering their brainwashing DEI tactics just under the guise of new names, such as civic engagement. And so that's why when we talk about this DEI and woke being dead, woke is not dead. It's on life support. But as Trump has said, woke is dead. No, it's not. It's on life support and just waiting for the next person to come up, put in the bike tire pump, and blow up its resources once again. To truly make woke dead, to truly get through that, will never probably happen. But if we wanted to get it as close as possible, it would come with firing every person like this and replacing them with somebody who is deliberately pro-tradition. And I say pro-tradition instead of anti-woke because woke is truly just the rejecting of tradition. And instead of just being anti-woke, instead of being contrarian, be pro-tradition. And that is how you truly kill woke. And so while we're seeing strides, we're taking strides with traditional fitness. We're taking strides with traditional attractiveness in terms of our advertising. We still have a ways to go as it pertains to our political and not just political, our educational institutions. Now, I want to make sure I get to everything I had planned to talk about today, but I want to say thank you guys once again for joining. Thank you, Raven, for watching. I appreciate that that you still log on and check it out. And I will be back. I'll address maybe kind of an elephant in the room for some people is why, Kev, you just went dark on us. And I know I was kind of staggered even before this. And I still do the occasional, and you'll see at I think it's 5:30 today on my channel. Premiering is my, I do the occasional appearance on Real America's Voice Turning Point Tonight with Joe Bob. And so they sent me over the videos as they'll premiere on my channel as well. It was from last night's episode, so it's late if you already watched it on Real America's Voice, but that'll post. And I still do things like that periodically. I do the DPB shows every once in a while because David Paul is a good friend of mine. But law school, everybody always says law school is hard. Law school is hard. Here's where it becomes hard for somebody who is in my position. Somebody who's in my position who hosted a weekly radio show, somebody who constantly challenged myself mentally to discuss the news and politics of the day in interesting and new ways and bring a perspective. Because I only wanted to do this show. I only wanted to do this show if I could bring you a different perspective. Because if I was just going to regurgitate the same thing that Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, Fox News, or Louder with Crowder, or any of those other kind of mainstream sources, if I was going to just regurgitate that, what's the point of this show? I want to bring you a different perspective. And I know for a long time I had quite a unique perspective being on college campuses doing my activism thing with Turning Point USA. But since I've been in law school, my entire life has been dedicated pretty much to sitting at a desk just like the one I'm sitting now and reading through a book and reading other people's perspectives on the law and learning what the law is. What is justice? What does that truly mean? Breaking that down, writing. And even when I write, it's usually synthesizing other people's perspectives into its own. And so while I do believe I can still bring you a new, fresh, and interesting perspective on different news topics, there's a few things. First off, I have a lot to focus on with law school. That takes up a lot of my time. And time is a huge factor in all of this. I haven't always had the time to prep a good show where I can thoroughly think through the news and give you something that I think, as a viewer, something that I think is worth you watching. Secondly, I get tired. And when I say I get tired, it's not just, oh, you stayed up late, I need to fall asleep. No, it's I get tired in that in the synthesis that I'm doing of the law, it makes it so that I'm mentally drained, and anything I can come up with as a good idea for a show or to talk to you about or a perspective on a news story tends to be more shallow when I need a recharge. And so given that, I didn't want to log on here and just be reading news articles for you and never talking about anything and never actually breaking it down and talking more about it. And tertiary, third, this is a lot. I'm currently acquiring debt, and this, frankly, as much fun as I have, this doesn't make me any money. And so I need to do things that can make me a little bit of money on the side so that I can be saving for when I get out of school and also pay my rent, etc. That's why I always do ask if you have anything to please give in some form through my Venmo or Cash App is best, but you can also subscribe to the channel as a member. And there are certain perks that come along with that. And or you could even send like a gift or something for a certain comment. But I'm not big enough. Like, let's be honest, I'm not Tim Pool's show or some that's going to be getting or the whatever podcast where I'm getting a lot. So that kind of breaks it down for you as to why I've had to take a hiatus. And I still plan on trying to do about weekly shows. I'll find something that I think is interesting. I'm not going to necessarily cover every story like I used to when I was on the radio, or as many as I could. I'm going to find something that interests me and that I think would interest you. And we'll talk about that for about an hour here and there. For example, I will have some time tomorrow, and it's as the time allows. So always keep following, subscribe, comment, and be involved. And I love that you guys are, everybody who watches. Thank you for that. But just keep an eye and make sure you ring that notification bell, because then you'll see, oh, Kev's going live tonight. I can tell you it'll be more likely around weekend times, likely like a Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday night talking about things. But as football season comes, I can tell you Sunday nights, probably not, maybe Sunday early afternoon. And we'll talk about things that are happening, things that are interesting, a lot of cultural stuff, because I'm enveloped in the law right now, and with the law comes politics. And so I find politics interesting still, and things like the debt, which you'll see I talk about later on in the turning point tonight, not the debt, the GDP and the EPA and a lot of those things. But I also like talking about the cultural things quite a bit, and how people view the world and their perspectives. And that's really where the Sydney Sweeney topic comes down, is the perspective that you have on the world. And I love getting as many perspectives as possible. That's why I always encourage you to comment, and I really appreciate that. So please do. I've also fixed my setup so that I can make it easier. The way I had it set up, where it was just my white wall behind me and my flag, the way I sat in my room, it was, you could see over there, you can kind of see my TV. I had it set up to where my desk was taking up like half of my room in the center of it, and then the flag behind it. Well, I thought the setting was great. It made it so that anytime I wanted to go live, it would take me 10 minutes of setup time for everything. As now I just have my desk on the wall. You can see my room a little bit in the background. That's where I sleep. And that makes it a little bit simpler for setup for the timeliness factor. So that's pretty much it. That's why I've had my hiatus, and thank you for sticking with me. Tomorrow I will have a show. I can promise you now I'm going to have a show because there's something interesting happening, but we're going to talk about that in a moment. But I also just want to remind everybody to please like, subscribe, comment, share. I really appreciate all the support from everybody that has been watching up thus far. No matter how long you've been a member or been watching, I truly do appreciate it. Let's get to what I think will probably be our final story today, because I know that other show will be going live soon on my YouTube channel that you guys can watch soon. But I want to talk about somebody who you haven't heard from in quite a while, and that is former presidential candidate Kamala Harris. I'm going to make sure I pull up the right video here. Kamala Harris made a public statement the other day, just yesterday actually, in which she announced the release of her memoir, of her book, in which she discusses, well, I'll let her tell you about it. Take a look and a listen.
Just over a year ago, I launched my campaign for President of the United States. 107 days, traveling the country, fighting for our future. The shortest presidential campaign in modern history. It was intense, high stakes, and deeply personal for me and for so many of you. Since leaving office, I've spent a lot of time reflecting on those days, talking with my team, my family, my friends, and pulling my thoughts together. In essence, writing a journal that is this book, 107 Days. With candor and reflection, I've written a behind-the-scenes account of that journey. I believe there's value in sharing what I saw, what I learned, and what I know it will take to move forward. In writing this book, one truth kept coming back to me. Sometimes the fight takes a while, but I remain full of hope, and I remain clear-eyed. I will never stop fighting to make our country reflect the very best of its ideals, always on behalf of the people. So thank you for being in this fight with me. I am forever grateful, and I cannot wait for you to read this, and I'll see you out there. Take care.
Okay, so probably the dumbest presidential candidate America has ever seen, Kamala Harris, has come out and announced her book, which I'm very interested to see what her, and I mean this is a joke for any lawyers watching, I'm very excited to see what her ghostwriter wrote for us, because I deeply don't believe that she necessarily entirely wrote it, and I probably will read it because I am interested in to see how she tries to navigate talking about not only what is the shortest presidential campaign in modern American history, but also the biggest flop of any campaign ever. I mean, $1.8 billion to lose extravagantly. That's what it should be called. Instead of 107 days, it should be called $1.8 billion. Wasted is what it should truly be called. So I do look forward to probably giving it a look. Funny enough, I mean, she kind of showed it off there a little bit, and you can kind of see about how, let's pull it big screen again. You can kind of see it's a little bit thicker. Honestly, it's surprisingly, for being the shortest presidential campaign, it doesn't look like quite a short book. I'm sure she has a lot of grievances to air and a lot of things to cover up. So we'll see exactly how that works out. But as she announces this, she also has announced that she will be making her first public appearance tonight. Oh, she also posted a really cringe video. Let's take a look. This is another clip of her talking about her new book. This is one of the cringiest things I have ever seen.
Everyone thinks you've been kicking back, drinking margaritas on the beach, but really, you've been hard at work writing a book, meeting with leaders, thinking about the future of our country. Who said that?
Yeah, so incredibly cringy. I'm sorry. I was subjected to watching that, so I must subject you as well. But Kamala she's also said that she's not running for governor of California. I'm interested. Actually, Trump was asked about it. Let's take a look and listen real quick as to what he had to say.
President Biden, may I ask you a question? Wait a minute. No, not you. You.
Mr. President, Kamala Harris, as you know, is not running for governor of California. She's not going to do it. What do you see in her political future, sir?
Well, she can't speak. She can't talk. She can't do an interview. I thought it was a very strange campaign that we had. But, you know, I had two of them. We were up by like this massive number of points on Biden, and they said, let's change to Kamala. Nobody knew who Kamala was. Nobody knew her last name, Harris. They said, we're going to get Vice President Harris. Everyone said, who the hell is Harris? They only knew her by the first name. But no, I thought she was a terrible candidate. Look, don't forget, she didn't really get the nomination. I mean, that whole nomination was strange. She was the first one out. You know, she took a good amount of points with her when she announced, but nobody knew her. And once they got to know her, she dropped out very shortly after she started. And she started with a pretty good, you know, she was like in second or third place. But I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't call her a skilled politician. Would you?
She's also coming out with a book. Any plans to buy it?
I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to buy it. I'd love to see it. No. I'd find it. Look, I find everything in politics interesting. I sort of enjoy politics. She wasn't a skilled person. You know, you have skilled politicians, really skilled politicians, and then you have some that aren't. And she was put in a very tough position, I think. She did have a 6-week honeymoon. They were told me, the pros said, you know what, she's going to have a 6-week. And she did. She was like untouchable in terms of everybody thought great. But she didn't do any interviews or anything, which was strange. Not even friendly interviews with friendly reporters like her right there, really friendly reporter. And you know what happened? People said, what's wrong with her? Why isn't she doing? She made a mistake. She should have done interviews. She didn't run a great campaign, but we beat Biden, and then we had to beat, nobody's beaten two. I had to beat two. That's like Dana White, the great Dana White has a fight, and he has a fighter that's getting the hell knocked out of him. They say, well, let's take him out and put somebody else in. Didn't seem fair to me at the time, but where are we? We're in the White House. So, I mean, you know, so it worked out.
Interesting thoughts from President Trump on Kamala Harris's book debut, as well as her announcement not to run for California governor. It's also said that tonight, Kamala will be joining. I'm trying to find any tweet that announces it, but Kamala will be joining the Colbert Show. Let me just look at Kamala Harris, Colbert, in her first interview. No doubt, her joining the Colbert Show tonight. Yeah, we could see here. This is from Not Kenny Rogers. I don't know who this is, but Kamala Harris visits the Late Show with Stephen Colbert tonight. So make sure to tune in and watch a woman who spent $2 billion to lose all 7 swing states and a guy costing his network $50 million a year just by showing up explain to all of us why Trump is killing the economy. Yes, that's absolutely right. But yeah, so Kamala will be going on Stephen Colbert tonight. It's like the Jets playing the Browns. Look, I will disagree with Levi here. I do care. I'm actually really interested to see what she says, because I think what even somebody that I ardently disagree with, I'm interested to see what they do in the face of their failures, because that's truly how you tell the character and the will of a person is when they fail. And so as magnificently as Kamala failed, what will she do next, and where will she go? And I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks like that. If I'm the only one that that wants to keep track of somebody's story, then let me know. But that's what I'll be doing my show on tomorrow. Is we're going to cover clips from Kamala's interview with failure of a TV show host, Stephen Colbert. I'll talk a little bit tomorrow about Stephen Colbert as a host and the whole controversy with that. But that'll be in tomorrow's show. And don't get used to daily shows. It won't happen, especially once my semester starts up. But I do think that tomorrow is more than a go. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. And so thank you guys so much for tuning in. I truly do appreciate it. And don't worry, my viewer numbers will go up as I start becoming a little bit more consistent with it. But to help out with that, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, and don't miss it. In, I think, about 10 minutes, tune in. My Real America's Voice Turning Point tonight will be premiering on my channel on YouTube, Speechless with Kev Phares. Thank you guys. God bless you. God bless America. And thank you for watching.